Welcome to the fourth NixOS office hours. These office hours happen every other Friday at 3 p.m. American New York, which is 1900 UTC. They're recorded and live streamed on YouTube.
Be aware this is our call, so feel free to use the Zoom hand feature to raise your hand so we can give you voice to talk.
I'll be on the IRC on the NixOS office hours channel looking for questions. So if you're on the YouTube stream, hopefully you can hear me. And so I'll be on the IRC. If you have questions, feel free to ask there.
Okay, and just be mindful, everyone, that our call does have a code of conduct. It's the contributor covenant. And today, our guest is Eelco Dolstra, inventor of Nix, talking about RFC 49, the wonderful Flakes.
This RFC, Eelco, it's talking about a way to package Nix expressions in a way that you can keep them into different repositories and refer to them from other projects without using import from derivation. Could you talk about a little bit about what that means?
Sorry, which RFC are you talking about?
RFC 49, Flakes.
Oh, Flakes. Okay, well, I can just launch into my little talk/demo if you prefer that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. Let me share my screen. And of course, at that moment, my screen went black. That's a known Zoom bug. So I think I'll have to disconnect for a sec.
Okay.
That.
Well, while he does that, I can give a little bit of background on Flakes that I'm aware of. One of the big problems with using Nix right now is that if you want to use a library that's in one repository, you either have to duplicate the library by copying the code into your repository, or use what's called import from derivation, where you use Nix to fetch the source, and then you effectively build the source, import that source into your system or into your Nix expression, and then you use the library like that. One of the problems with a lot of import from derivation is it's pervasively slow, and it really breaks the ability for Nix to evaluate quickly. And so Flakes is hopefully going to make it much easier to do this without the penalties of evaluation time.
So I'm back, but I can't share my screen because the other Eelco is still sharing his screen apparently.
Maybe while this is happening, I can make some announcements. There's a few NixOS meetups coming up for the NixOS 1909 release. So on the 9th of September, if you're in London, come at Smarkets. We will do a release sprint trying to fix the 1909 release. If you're in Munich, it's on the 13th of September. And if you're in Berlin, it's in the 24th of September. So don't be shy. If you don't know how to package things, people will show you around, and people are generally nice.
Where should people go to find out more information or to get in touch?
Good call. On meetup.com, you search for NixOS 1909, and you should find the meetup that's close to you.
Well, perhaps we should switch topics at the last minute here. Does anybody have some pull requests that they would like to look into as a group, or topics they would like to discuss?
Yes, I have a whole bunch of Haskell updates for GHC 8.8, but I don't know if other people are interested in looking at that.
That sounds like a fine idea. In the future, if you would please use the hand feature, that'd be lovely. But yeah, let's get started with that. Faiva, would you like to talk about?
Sure. I just don't know how to use the hand feature. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. Do you want me to share my screen, or I sent a link on the chat? But
let's give it a try.
Yeah.
You won't be able to share actually until Eelco's.
No, it's okay. It's not important. So anyway, I put a link in the chat to. So I've been informed that there's a new Haskell updates branch where changes are supposed to go to. So I've committed a whole bunch of changes to that, essentially leveraging head.package, so that the packages that I need in order to get, for example, iHaskell, which is a project that I maintain, working with GHC 8.8 are fixed, are like all those like dependencies are fixed. So is there another place where you'd like me to put the link so that y'all can see it, or is everyone who wants to look at the link? able to look at the link.
I've shared it elsewhere.
Okay, great. So yeah, I mean, so Dennis Gosnell is someone I met before. He's reviewed it, seems to think it's okay, but I made a whole bunch of changes since then because I needed a whole bunch of other packages to build in order to get the dependencies for iHaskell working. But yeah.
So can you give us a bit of a background in what sort of fixes you have in this pull request?
Sure. So the fixes are only for GHC 8.8, and they're essentially patching dependencies that don't build otherwise, or that do build otherwise. But so I don't 100% know how the Haskell infrastructure works, but my understanding is that everything's based on the stackage LTS. So I think Petty has gone ahead and updated it to a pretty recent stackage LTS, but there are other newer packages that aren't included in the LTS, and those are available separately. So I've kind of overridden the packages only for GHC 8.8 or patched them where that's been necessary.
Okay, it looks like a pretty common sense pull request. Do you have any thoughts as to, oh, well, it's only instance yesterday. Maybe I should ping Boss and see if he was willing to merge it?
That would be great. Thanks.
Sounds good. I'll send that along. I get the impression that there's another pull request from edf out there.
Oh, I haven't seen it. If I'd known that there's another pull request, I wouldn't have bothered with mine.
Sorry, I mean a separate topic.
It's pronounced edf, but
sorry.
Basically, I've been waiting for this one, which is not my pull request, but is a dupe of one I made, which upgrades OpenSSH and fixes a bug with agent authentication in the process. It's been a little quiet. It's been around since April originally. It's gotten some changes in June. Will did a few fixes to it a week ago. It's not super clear to me where it's stuck. It's awaiting review from Eelco, and the changes requested seem to be addressed.
So is this pull request the one from DITZ? DTZ?
Yeah.
Okay, and so this I actually don't know why this one wouldn't merge.
Yeah, it's for staging, so it'll take a while to filter down into actual unstable anyhow. So hence my desire to speed up the process a little.
Yeah. So I'm seeing some feedback on the IRC channel that the NixOS-security channel on IRC has discussed a little bit. I think something having to do with disabling HP-in support. I'm sort of wishing that Florian or Andy were here to speak to that.
Yeah, I ended up making, without knowing about this pull request, a dupe of it, and HPN stood out to me as something that's really outdated in terms of keeping up with upstream.
Sure. Actually, Florian is here. I wonder if he could speak to it.
Yeah, sure. If sound works, can you hear me?
You're a bit quiet, but I can hear you.
Better now?
Yep, excellent.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so there was some discussion, I guess. It's mostly the problem that SSH with APN support, this HPN support patches, or it's a separate table, and it basically cannot work with OpenSSH 8.0, and it's largely unmaintained since quite some time or something, and people were afraid of just dropping support, and whether to move this into a separate derivation, the OpenSSH HPN flavor, versus not. And other people objected that it might be just not used at all anymore for most of the people. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess this just needs to be, somebody just needs to decide. Okay, let's either keep it and keep it on an older version, or let's completely just drop the HPN support because nobody's using it anyways.
Well, if someone needed the support, could they use an older Nix packages?
Yes.
Would that be a better way to just have that?
I mean, the easy path is to mark it as deprecated and see who screams about it.
That's a good option as well.
Yeah.
But like shipping this with 19.10 as something we pretend is like completely supported seems like a bad move.
I can understand that. So someone needs to take an initiative to decide where that's going to be going.
I'd personally be inclined to drop support, and if they pass the flag to enable it, marking it as broken and linking to a ticket.
That sounds like a good practice.
That's fair. I'm in favor.
Udef, are you able to do that rebase to fix the merge conflicts and implement that broken flag?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Cool.
Wonderful. Thank you. Zimba Tim?
This is not my PR, but Samuel Diar has been doing some good stuff on. He's been working on rebuilding the package list on NixOS.org, and we have a pull request for that. Could be nice because it just makes it much nicer to use.
Yes, I've seen this pull request for a while. Actually, it's kind of gone under the radar. I would really like to see it as a merged feature eventually.
Yeah.
Eelco, now that the free flag has been dropped, what would you think about merging that?
You're talking about the homepage, the package browser redesign, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Would you like to do the honors?
I could, but
let's do it.
Both there in the ceremony.
For everybody else, the pull request is number 209 on NixOS homepage, and it re-implements the package explorer and all the search interface using, I believe it's based on React or Preact, which I think is a smaller version of React, and I believe makes it a lot more extensible, but should make it a bit more easy to maintain. Probably only a few people have actually seen the JavaScript that powered that page, but it was truly a sight to behold. And not in a good way.
It also adds the multiple channels, so we have 1903, unstable for NixOS and Nix packages, both.
People who are like completely familiar with this pull request, what are the main key changes that's going to improve for a user standpoint for the package search?
They will be able to see the software that's packaged in unstable and instable. One of the main thing, one point of confusion is when they see, such and such software is at version 10, but in stable it's still at version 9. With this pull request applied, we have a channel selection, so they can see, in unstable it's been updated.
Okay, that's a great improvement. That's a quite great point of confusion actually for a lot of people.
The URLs are shareable, so you can share the exact thing you see to someone else. So you can share a permalink to
a package?
To a package, yeah. Or you can share a search. The search now allows regexes, so you can type #GOO to see something that starts with GOO. There won't be Google Chrome in the current implementation, but you could search anything with a regex, and I think that's pretty much it. It's especially much more maintainable.
Indeed. And I think we had like Keybase coming around. We had there's a software called Keybase, and they were asking if there was a way we could index which packages we had, and I actually had to share them a link to the expression, which has to be updated for each release, which is quite inconvenient. So for people who want to advertise that we have these packages, it's very easy now because you just share the link perfectly, and it's all up to date.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Eelco, would you like to merge that now or after the call?
Yeah, I'll have a look at it afterwards.
All right, sounds good. But I'm taking that as a commitment to do it today. All right. Kailis on IRC has shared a Nix packages pull request number 61,684, which there is in chat. And in particular, a comment from May 24th about Ruby gems and upstream issue version bumps. I think this has to do with shipping the default version of Ruby gems with Ruby. I actually don't know a lot about Ruby. Is anybody on the call familiar with Ruby or this pull request?
I think we have a Rubyist somewhere, not me.
I used to be a Rubyist, but Manvaru is not on the cover.
All right. Well, I don't feel comfortable diving into that one without somebody with some expertise on the call.
Neither do I.
All right. Any further pull requests? I can would be happy to. I can switch topics a little bit.
Okay.
All right. Nix 2.3 is going to be released soon. I think we were aiming for today, actually, but perhaps might get pushed to early next week. Eelco, can you talk a little bit about what's changed in 2.3?
It's mostly bug fixes.
Fair enough. One of the big features that I contributed and really like, along with Teofan, who is a coworker of mine, involves a post build hook, and the post build hook lets you write some pretty nice actions, like directly after a hook, you can sign and upload it to a binary cache built in, which I think could create some pretty interesting integrations that are possible. This previously was actually pretty difficult to accomplish, especially if you used import from derivation, something that hopefully Flakes will fix as well, because the builds don't actually become GC rooted at the end of the build. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. Kailis has sent me some further description about 61684, the Ruby issue, saying, as far as they can tell, there's no way to tell Nix to always put bundler in the path before Ruby. It's always sort of alphabetically. They'd like to find a way around that, because if somebody starts a shell with bundler and Ruby, bundler's bundler executable should always take priority. That seems sensible.
But B is before R.
Yes, but it seems that the package set is actually called base Ruby.
Oh, right.
Okay, I mean that seems perfectly sensible to me.
So if we rename it to core Ruby, it would be fine.
There you go. I don't actually understand what this does, so what this pull request actually implies, but oh, Kyla says it's sorted alphabetically by the Nix store hash, of course. So we would need to have some creative hashing going on. Yeah, so I'm still not super comfortable trying to merge it. Does anybody know about base Ruby or the implications of this pull request?
I know that there's another pull request that upgrades Ruby and Ruby gems, and it might solve the problem, but I don't know. I have to look into it as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. How about who here thinks that they could screen share? Any takers? Because if you can screen share, I'd like to send you some links that we can take a look at. Savani? Awesome. All right. Savani,
Our savior.
I don't know how to use the hand raising feature either, so I just unmuted. But let's see.
So this is some documentation work that Samuel and I have been working on. And if you could just like actually click on the magnifying glass in the top right and type in cross compiling. We have here a updated Nix packages manual, which is split up into multiple pages. So one actual HTML document per chapter. And it has this built-in search. If you go back to that search result and type in cross-compiling, but don't actually click anything. It does stemming, so you can see it's matching words like cross-compilation and cross-compiling, cross-system, these sorts of things. So the hope here is that it's actually better than Control F in your browser because it does the stemming, and it's all in multiple pages, and it's completely offline. So the index is local. It's just a simple JavaScript file. So one of the big problems with the big manual from before is actually this would, the page is so big that Google would not index it. So having these smaller pages and having these cross-linking between individual pages should help Google and other search engines do the indexing of the manual and get us higher in the search results. Savani, if you could click into any one of those at this point. On the left, you can see that there's the sidebar and it expands as you like drill down into a topic. And so this is all actually directly out of a Nix build. So if you've ever built the manual locally, you get an old style, like clearly 1990s documentation tech. And now when you do this is literally what you'll get out the other side. I have also applied this to the NixOS manual, but it needs some work. It's not ready to demo yet. Samuel, do you have anything you'd like to mention about this project?
Not really, I think.
Well, thank you a lot for doing what you've done for it. It's really nice. I really like what you've done.
Yeah, I think it's simply beautiful.
Oh, sorry, Florian. There's actually not a pull request yet, so working on integrating it with the NixOS build before we send the pull request. So we want it to be essentially all in one PR, so it's easier to review and make sure that the code we've written works cleanly for both, instead of sending one and then having to hack up a bunch of stuff to make it work for the other.
How about I talk about what I've been working with Jan Tosnar for updating the GNOME defaults and getting emoji support default throughout NixOS.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let me show the links. I'll be doing it in IRC.
If you share on one, I'll repost to the other. So a lot of people have shared on the Zoom chat, and then I've been pasting them over to IRC if you share either way.
Okay. And the most sort of controversial topic is disabling font config penultimate. I know we do have the author of that configuration on the call currently, and we've been looking forward to getting that merged to disable the default, since it's pretty much not needed anymore, and we'd like to keep the vanilla defaults for font config. But we're not sure how they would feel about that. We were planning on merging it Sunday, but we still would like to get some sort of feedback on that. So I've pasted all the links into the chat.
Can you, what is font config? What is font config penultimate? Can you give a little background?
So well, I'm actually not the author of font config penultimate, and we're actually kind of confused why it was actually disabled and why we were shipping a custom font configuration aside from the this is the regular one that everyone is currently using. I am aware that there used to be certain patches that we used to carry, like the like infinality patches and like the ultimate patches. Sorry. But I'm still not sure about that. I wasn't very familiar with this sort of infrastructure, so we sort of just winged it to figure out how we could get our desired result. So other than that, I would like to get that merged, but I would like is it Thomas Tuchel, if they could sign off on that, because I'm not sure if they would like it if we just, because they did put that feature in and we're going to disable it now. But that was a few years ago now.
Thomas, would you like to talk to that?
Yeah, so a little bit of the background about why that was. Years ago, the situation with free type in Linux was quite bad, and we carried the infinality patches. And related to that, we had not just our distro, but a lot of distros carried the font config ultimate defaults, which short version is when you had a lot of proprietary fonts on the web and things like that, it did appropriate substitutions and tweaks so that things would appear, nicely instead of getting some horrible bitmap substitutions and things like that. If the situation really is better, then let's get rid of it. Penultimate is a little private joke, but the ultimate patch set became unmaintained for several years. And so I collected the original patches, or the original configuration, together with some fixes of our own and some fixes that had come from Ubuntu, and I just put them on GitHub somewhere so that they wouldn't fall offline again. I haven't tried to run it without that configuration in years. I haven't touched it. I don't know.
Currently, the main issue you can see is that emoji configuration doesn't work whatsoever with it. It lacks the actual font family for it.
There's an emoji font family?
Yes, there is an emoji font family. I know it's amazing, but it's great.
You can tell I have not touched this in years. Okay, so I'll give the pull request a once over, but I think this is probably fine.
Okay, thank you. Other than that, we're completely basically syncing the defaults in GNOME 3 to be what it is supposed to be upstream, which is really nice. I think I know last call I talked about having the installer, but it's been a bit paused, so I thought I could improve this to make it really, presentable default experience that people could have, since it hasn't been touched in a very long time. And we're just about finished with it. And it will be in the release. So I guess that's all I have to say about it. I hope it gets merged.
Sounds good. I'm hearing from Samuel, who's on the call, so I'm not sure why he's not saying so here, but he's saying he's been using without penultimate for over a year now.
Even more support for it then. We should probably just go ahead and merge it.
I think that I disabled it because it broke color emoji support. My awesome configuration uses emojis for workspace numbers. So I have color emojis working with awesome, and with it works on the Firefox and Chrome. So I guess it was because it broke that I disabled it, but I'm not even sure why I disabled it.
Yeah, I've been using it for a while too. Haven't noticed any problems, so I think we should probably just go with it. And it will be adding a default emoji font for people that use guarded by the enabling of X server. So it will be the Nodo emoji font.
Will this make any changes to systems which are not graphical?
I do not think so. I think the fonts enable default fonts option is only enabled if you enable X server. And I'm pretty sure minimal systems shouldn't have X server running on them whatsoever.
That's true. An interesting quirk about some of the minimal systems is it's pretty easy to accidentally pull in like i3 stuff and some GNOME stuff. So might be worth doing a double check on, for example, what it does to the ISO minimal build closure.
Indeed, I believe the font was it's about 7.8 megabytes.
Great. So we have miraculously managed to fill up almost 45 minutes of time, despite the main event, so to speak, not having panned out. For the last 7 minutes or so, is there any other pull requests that we should touch on before we close?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the maintainers things that you've been doing?
Yeah, sure. Actually, and I have a. Okay, yes. Okay, so some time ago, I submitted an RFC about creating a maintainer team on GitHub, where every single person who maintains a package would be able to be part of this team, be part of the GitHub organization, and then the of.borg bot could request reviews whenever their packages were updated. So that was several months ago that RFC was accepted. I didn't have any time to actually do the implementation until within the past few weeks. And so over the past 10 days, I've been inviting people 50 at a time or so to this group, which with about 1,000 maintainers took a bit of time. Today, actually this morning, I finished inviting the last of that group. So that team is now at, well, I don't actually have it up, but the team has about 550 people invited, with another about 400 people with pending invitations. 550 people have joined and are part of the team. And then about 450 people have an invitation that they can accept at any time. The hope there, and I don't actually have any metrics on this, which is a bummer, but the hope is that of.borg, anytime any package is changed, of.borg will be able to request a review of that package's maintainer. And then hopefully we'll be able to develop a greater commitment that when you are a maintainer of a package, there's an expectation that you go respond to those pull requests and that you go and approve those pull requests.
Indeed, and maybe old stuff can fade away into the framework.
That's right. Yeah, so it's pretty early. That was just finished inviting people today. But I've already seen quite a number of pull requests where the person who was requested to be reviewed was not a committer, but was just a maintainer. So I think already that's a pretty big success. Hopefully it turns into the so hopefully it changes into a change in behavior, of the maintainers. That's been a big goal of mine, is to make of.borg and other tools help shape people's behavior to do a better job, and do that with honey instead of with force. Because at the end of the day, we're all volunteers, so nobody can make anybody do anything. So I have to make you want to do it.
I absolutely agree. I think that's great, because I think I've touched on frequently the responsibilities of a maintainer and how they need to be communicated in a graceful way, instead of sort of like almost a negative way currently. And we have a lot of committers whose frequent times is just to ping people, which is not very much worth their time to having to do that, when the maintainers could just look at it. of.borg just pings them.
Yeah. I hope.
Furthermore, I feel like it increases the sense of shared ownership, because I do realize that people it recognizes you as a member of the organization. Correct? You're muted.
Still?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Yeah. So that has actually caused a bit of confusion. Is so people will ask for somebody to merge, and they'll say, "Well, I'm a maintainer. I can't actually merge stuff. I can just approve stuff." So in some ways, that's actually reduced visibility a little bit. I wonder if we can easily improve that part. Of course, a future possible idea is to allow maintainers to merge their own pull requests somehow. And finally, another idea I've had for Borg is for once if somebody reviews it and does a GitHub approval, having Borg attach a approved by maintainer label, and then we can just have a dashboard that's really easy. Makes it easy to find those pull requests.
Indeed, that would make my life much easier.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, that sort of clears that. I'm a lot more comfortable with that than just giving everyone who's marked as a maintainer merge rights.
Yeah, I also have some concerns about that. I think probably most people have some concerns about that, but it's a tricky balance of what's the most right thing to do, what's the most empowering but reasonable. At any rate, we are in the last minute of the 4th office hours. Sorry for the difficulties in the beginning. Each one has come with its own unique challenges, so hopefully the 5th one will be easier and cleaner and work nicely. Some closing notes. NixCon 2019 in Brno is October 25th through the 27th. You can still submit your papers or submit your presentations or any talks you'd like to give. Something interesting this year is I believe there's going to be a beginner's track. So submit your conference proposals, book a ticket, and I hope to see you all in Brno in October. Call for papers ends in about 1 week and 3 days, which is September 10. A second thing is just a shout out and a thank you to the Nix-community project on GitHub, which is an organization which lets people take Nix projects that they're working on and put it in sort of a community ownership setting. In the past year, actually, my project LinuxKit-Nix was taken over by GitHub user Nick Novitsky. So big thank you to Nick for doing that. Big thank you to Zimbatim and Addis Blattis for setting up the Nix community and all of those good things. Maybe we could have you on here sometime. And the final bit of business is I am actually on vacation 2 weeks from today. So our next NixOS office hours will be on September 20th, which is 1 week after when we would normally have it next. And that's all for today. Thank you all for coming today.
Thanks.